So what is AI action? We've heard the most about generative AI. It creates text, now a lot more than that, video, etc. Predictive AI. This is one that we've seen before, and it's a long time existing, but the speed at which it can see patterns and anomalies is actually one of the best things for cybersecurity and the best use of AI in cybersecurity. And then the agentic AI, taking actions on behalf of humans. I want to make sure that people understand AI is two letters that are in a broad field of computer science, and it enables machines, and I want to emphasize this, to mimic human behavior. It is not new. We started with reporting in this old thermometer. Then we moved to binary action. Then now we have automation. What caused this? We have acceleration, scalability, capability, and accessibility. These four changes have allowed us to have smart cities, smart buildings, smart homes, and amazing, something practical, very smart HVAC systems, as an example. But with this speed also is a risk accelerator. So we must remember that the speed at which this goes increases that risk. I think one of the most important things is my goal is to dehumanize AI. The familiarity breeds contempt is a saying that is appropriate for AI. It doesn't know right from wrong. It doesn't understand context of anything. It is predictive. It is not reflective. It just is a very sophisticated calculator. And then in the blue here, you see it's very data dependent. No data. It does, then it's going to decide to do stuff on its own. It doesn't have an intent to go back to bad or good. It doesn't have a conscience. It doesn't need to eat. It doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't have a preference. And I know there's going to be an argument here. It is not self-aware. It does not think it predicts. Now, we've seen plenty of shows, but remember those are television shows and movies. So how is it used in defense? A great example here is security for air traffic controllers. The threat detection for an air traffic controller, of course, is a lifesaver. In the Security Operations Center, it's a business saver. What AI adds to both of these, and you'll notice humans are still in the loop on both of these, but it is human experience and machine speed working together so that once something is brought to the attention of the human can approve it, and the correction can be made by the AI at lightning speed. As AI matures and we become more comfortable, more micro tasks will be done by AI. And you've seen this in the airline industry for a long time. I'm not sure if you have heard of Tycoon 2FA, but this is becoming the adversary that most people feel. The speed and scalability it is able to use to create emails, and I like to call these casual conversation. it doesn't rely on just the first email. It starts out with discovering a lot about you from all that information you put on the web, and then starts a conversation and leads you into trust. Once that happens, then we get the link, which is very realistic. A dash is all it needs. This will lead you to capture, and agentic AI has become very good. You're not even there, and it's able to solve this for you. Then that takes you to a fake website. Well, now you're back in the picture again. And at this point, it's not just a website, but it's a consumer website. So as you know, you have create an account. Unfortunately, many of us use the same passwords. So you're given a username and password, which is usually your email. You got a beautiful site. It has beautiful products, and you have a checkout. So all of this right now is happening. This is not future. This is happening every day. The account takeover, I've experienced so many of these, as many government agencies and other industries have, is you have an attacker takes over an account. So now it becomes that person. It sends out an email, and that email is received, and yeah, I know Kevin now. Okay, so I got trust right away. Anything in that email, I'm going to trust. So at this point, there's a link. Imagine that. Click on that link. All of a sudden, realistic logins occur, pop up. No nice trust. Oh, I must have to log in. I don't know why I didn't do. So I put in my username and my password that I use to get into the company. Then the attacker takes over my account. And at that point, it sends out emails to all of my contacts. And this is how it replicates itself, just like the old worms used to replicate themselves. This is, I don't know how we're going to win this. It's going to take a lot of maturity, but scanning for unpacked systems is a big industry. The speed, scalability, and the automation we talked about, hackers can send out bots. We used to call them pen testers. They can send these out. They can find unpacked systems, billions of them in milliseconds. Whereas a human patching has to account for errors in the patch, breaking the process. So we've got, in one case, someone who doesn't care about breaking. Matter of fact, we're trying to get into the system. If it breaks a couple of things, it's probably to our advantage. So here's where speed is not on our side. Deepfakes. Gartner says that we have 62% of organizations experiencing this. We all know how this is done. We just get our phone, a very simple device we have with us all the time. We make a short video. It doesn't recall much. It doesn't require much. And it's just a sample can create a very realistic video. The social engineering and automated processes are the common deepfake attack methods. And here's an example. You've seen this over and over again. The CEO voice, he makes a call or even a video call and is able to request something. What you may not have seen as much is the deepfake video used to bypass biometric verification or I am a human verification. Now let's move this into a broader field in a meeting. Deepfakes and video conferences. Now, the old way of doing this, to figure out that guy's a fake, look at what the process you have to do. It's not realistic. I don't know the eyes are blinking. I'm in a conference. I don't know. I'm in a video conference. So I don't think this is kind of past its time. What we need is something like this, and we have it. The ability to do video conferencing and to verify the user on the back end through very strenuous steps, as you can see here. And then that unverified is important. The verified will stay there. If you have to leave the conference for a moment, you have to go back and re-verify yourself. There is no constant verification. As soon as you leave the screen, you have left the meeting as far as it's concerned. Coding. ChatGPT is very good at coding when it does it by the book. Insecure code comes out, non-compliant, exposure, input validation errors. We have enough of those in the real coding. When we have even more in the ChatGPT coding. Error handling is very difficult for it to understand unless it's in the book, because remember, it's basically reading from a book on coding and data leakage. So what do? We have to have human oversight, and we have to have really good audit coding. You must be able to adhere to standards and keep a record model in version so that you can go back. The one that is all the rage now is reviewing code. But remember, AI understands coding, but not context or purpose. And because of this, it can undo some of your security coding that you have made, but it's not in the book. So wipe it out. Beware of comments in code. This is something that I learned about through a friend where they document, which they should. We're all taught when we code to document. But a lot of that documentation has some information, some of it which is proprietary. Now, people are going to say, well, my code is out there and it is in this stew of data. But code artifacts, if you work hard enough, you can get specific searches, find out enough to pull back that original code, even if it's snippets. It can start building it based upon that information. So what is my suggestion? My suggestion is that when you do have code review, you don't let it delete. You require it to highlight its changes or suggestions and then ask it why it made those changes. The next thing is, why is AI in the system? One of the things that, because we have rushed to market, is everybody must put AI into their product, even if it does cause hidden risk, which it does. We're mixing code with code, old code with new code. So the key questions to ask are, why is AI included? What is it doing? Goes back to those two questions. How's it going to solve my problem? How is my data used? And is it retained? And is it used for training? I don't know. Practical guidance require vendors to give you good documentation and have legal go through that with the fine-tooth comb, require vendor attestations, and very strong contract language. Key areas focus on training, We start with the fact that we know AI is the digital deception machine. From there, we know we need to verify before we trust, and we need to make sure we're multi-factor, that we are actually putting people through a process that proves they are human. As I said, agentic AI can go through a lot of steps to appear to be human. We've been told over and over again, media skepticism, keep that there, not just media, but everything we receive there does. The contextual awareness, I call this the gut check. If you get something that's slightly off, what makes you go, then you need to be the one that reports this as quickly as possible, because remember, we're dealing with time here. And then always have human review when the sensitivity is great. Lastly, the best choice is actually to have what they call generative adversarial networks. And this is, on the left, we have the bad guy, and on the right, we have the good guy. And what this actually does is you have a generator of data, and then the discriminator looks over and says, oh, that doesn't look like a dog. Go back and try again. This gets much more sophisticated. You can see how this can be used for good or for malefactors to refine their code with synthetic data. It also can be used for synthetic data in our own practices in sandboxing our AI choices. And last but not least, everything I have said could be wrong by tomorrow or soon, but there is one thing that is constant, and that is risk acceptance is a business decision. You can't blame it on anyone else. Thank you for your time.
Kevin, that was great. I probably, like a lot of your users, have about 6 months experience using two tools. One, because I have a Microsoft platform, I use Copilot, and then I've gravitated towards OpenAI for my own personal reasons. And when we designed our website, we actually bumped up all our content against that, and it was a great experience. But how dangerous do you think it is with employees starting to feed financial data, or maybe human resources put some data in? What's the what is the reality of utilizing these tools in general by employees who are trying to be more efficient, but maybe opening up a new threat?
Well, Peter, it's happening. We know it's happening. We have seen for a long time data leakage with people taking data or putting it in their personal cloud. So the personal and professional being mixed is nothing new. Unfortunately, again, I say with AI, you can start producing things that are much more rapidly exploitable. And so in this particular case, you have to have a lot of control and a lot of education. Like I said, you can't have a paper tiger. If somebody does this, I don't know how you find out if they're using their personal machines or not, because like I said, that's a personal machine and it's something we deal with every day. A lot of it, I'm not going to say it's threats, but it's simply providing them with the information that they need to separate personal from professional. It is easy to say, well, I've got my phone, I can do this at home. It won't take me any time at all. I can get it to compose this email for me, and it may be innocuous, but not always. So I know that's probably not the answer you wanted to hear.
No. But let me ask you the other way then. What about at their desk at work? and they put it into
Ah,
the companies. I mean, the government
yeah,
system. Do you block them from getting there, or how does that work as well? Because you
we're
have the
working
definitely
on
the
that.
person. Mhm.
Yeah, we're working on that right now. Copilot has proven to be very pernicious. It has it does its own thing, and then the next day it doesn't do it. And that's no necessarily cut on Copilot. It's just a very new product. And so one of the scary things, Peter, we have is not necessarily people uploading data, but because Copilot is built in to everything, including Teams, when you have a Teams meeting and you have someone that has a high security clearance and
Mhm.
can access data, and you have lower level people, and we're working together, and we create a context prompt, all of a sudden, it's going to be able to use data that I, Kevin O'Malley, with the high privilege, is able to access. So if we're working on budgeting, you can imagine what might be picked up, and it might even be wrong. It's stale
Mhm.
data, but you can imagine what that would do for morale, for accuracy, etc. At the person's desk, there are a lot of technical controls that you can use. We have browser controls that just simply block the site, just like you would block any malicious site. But that does not mean that they're not going to go to their phone. And if they've uploaded the data, they're going to do the same thing. They're just not going to do it on their desktop.
Well, it just sounds like it's one more avenue to keep you up at night, and not just you, but all leaders of any organization. It inspires imagination, and it also brings up new threats and fears. Early days of the internet, it feels like that again, and I think almost all these digital tools will be rethought and have a new component that has this AI capability. So, thank you so much for joining us. It was very informative. I'm more scared and more inspired. So, thank you for
Well,
joining
good.
us.
Thank you. Thank you for
All
your time.
right. Take care.